What's up guys, this is Seville here with another Marvel Legends MCU action figure review. Today, I'll be talking about the two primary figures from Spider-Man Far From Home. So far, this wave has been strangely scarce in most brick and mortar stores. However, I did manage to find these two in GameStop. To aid in your hunt, here are the barcodes on the bottom of the box, with Spider-Man on the top and Mysterio on the bottom. Plus, I will have Amazon links in my description below. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. While the figures take another round on the spinner, I do want to point out that Spider-Man does not include a Molten Man Build-A-Figure piece, but Mysterio included the left leg. However, I won't be talking any more about Molten Man until I have completed that figure. Since Spider-Man is the one I can make some direct comparisons to, that's who I'm going to start with. At first glance, I thought it might almost just be a repaint of the Homecoming suit. However, seeing them side by side shows just how wrong that thought was. While it does basically use the same body frame, the individual sculpt details are almost entirely different. Whether it's the eyes of the mask, the spider emblem on the chest, the black lines that separate the colors, or even just the webbings. The legs do get a little bit closer to each other, but still not quite exactly the same. On the backside, the spider symbols have changed entirely, with the new one being closer to the same emblem on the front. And again, the black lines that runs through the red and blue suit don't exactly match up with where that black line is now on the new suit. Then when you get down into the legs and around the boot area, those lines aren't even there at all. Then on his arms, the webbing pattern doesn't even continue past his shoulders, making everything below the bicep joint an entirely new piece. And when you get down to the legs, the lack of that black line running through the boot, as well as there not being a sculpted line at the top of the boot, changes it as well. However, neither of those really come close to the level of detail in the Iron Spider suit, but that comes with the nature of the costume. Unfortunately, I do feel the need to point out some paint slop in my red and black figure. You may have noticed some of this in the earlier images, and it does seem like that the base color of this figure was the red, and then they added the black on top of it, and some of that red does show through in a lot of spots, especially in the heavily sculpted areas, as well as around the white spider here on the back. On the other hand, Mysterio looks practically flawless. Every single piece is sculpted to what I would imagine as being the highest level possible at this price range. And from what I can tell, there are no paint errors like the ones I saw in Spider-Man. Even the cape has a nice clean sculpt to it, and the stamped on imagery on the back is pretty much perfect. As we're getting back up to the globe for his head, I do want to point out that the two glares you're seeing right now are just from my lighting. That's not on the figure itself. The purplish color of the globe, as well as the gold and the greens of the rest of the suit, are maintained throughout. There is no differences in shade or anything like that. In fact, the level of detail on the entire figure as a whole is maintained throughout. In my personal opinion, even if you're not a movie figure collector, this Mysterio is leaps and bounds ahead of the one we got last year based on his comic book appearance. However, with this being an MCU figure, I do wish it would have come with an alternate Jake Gyllenhaal style head. But with all the different re-releases we've had over the last couple of years, maybe that's not too far-fetched of an idea for something down the line. Now I'm going to briefly touch on their articulation points, but they're all pretty common for Marvel Legends, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on it. They both have their usual neck pegs that offer up and down movement, as well as full rotation side to side. Their shoulders do spin all the way around, as well as move outward. Spider-Man does have the butterfly joints for extra front to back movement, but Mysterio does not. Their biceps do spin all the way around, their double jointed elbows do fold nicely, and their wrist pegs also have full rotation as well as the up and down movement. They do both have pretty good ab crunches, but for Spider-Man, it's more traditional with the front to back movement on the crunch and then the tornado waist being separate, but Mysterio has the ball joint in the torso, therefore not having the waist joint. On the legs, it's all pretty standard with the hip joints and thigh cut rotation, and both of them do have really good double knee joints as well as an ankle pivot. So with all that said, it's time to put these figures through my guidelines for a complete and fair review. These are brand new sculpts that are properly detailed and screen accurate. They are in scale with the rest of the line, and do have more than 20 points of articulation. They do both balance really well, and they each included the swappable hands for accessories. The roughly $20 price point is fair for the Marvel Legends line, but that's only if you can find them at retail price. So far, this wave has been pretty scarce in most brick and mortar stores, and even on Amazon, some figures are starting to be raised in price. Lastly, while Mysterio did not have any signs of quality control issues, I do need to dock SpiderMan for the paint flaws, leading it to an 8 out of 10 stars, meaning it's still an excellent figure, but Mysterio gets a 9 out of 10 stars, meaning it is outstanding and one of the best of the year. Therefore, I do highly recommend adding these figures to your MCU collection. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video,
get over here!
And subscribe to Civilian Collectibles.